Before the eyes of the nation, a scenario of brutal truth unfolded when the leader of the state sat across from mothers and fathers whose sons never returned from the front. The meeting took place on the 29th of August and was held in the Mokran House, a location deeply marked by state ceremony. The leader spoke with a weight meant to pierce the silence, expressing sorrow and haunting apologies for the fact that the soldiers' lives could not be saved. State agencies displayed photographs of the fallen and portraits wrapped in flags, portraying the cost of decisions made far from family homes. In the state broadcast, a narrative was drawn about reclaiming Kursk land, where young men gave their lives in an operation described as liberation. Such words were meant to serve as consolation, yet instead of relief, they spread questions about who and why had sent them into a land engulfed in fire. Official reports emphasized that the state would surround the families with care and provide them a new start in the capital, where a guaranteed livelihood and national remembrance awaited. On the table lay the letters of the fallen, their uniforms and conversations recorded in documents, which suddenly became final and irreversible things. Screen images from the state report showed farewell scenes, and the announcer's voice went beyond rhetoric, promising tribute and eternal recognition. Conversations with experts and intelligence leaks speak of numbers that shift the view on the scale of involvement and tragedy beyond official statements. Seoul's intelligence sources estimate losses at around 600 dead, while Western analyses speak of losses measured in thousands. Declarations of a beautiful life for the families sound like an echo of state theater, where sacrifice is transformed into a symbol, and sometimes into a tool of politics. Not all bodies returned home, and this fact, silenced with the greatest caution, fuels anger and unspoken grief among the loved ones. The domestic media message was meant to evoke pride and unity, yet the images of mourning and emptiness cannot be so easily woven into the official script. Against the backdrop of the ceremony, materials on equipment deliveries and logistical support for the operation were revealed, changing the perspective on participation. Families received portraits and banner insignias, yet behind every presentation there was a silence that spoke more than any words of reassurance. In the state statement, it was emphasized that the soldiers' deaths had a heroic dimension, embedding them in the narrative of the fight for justice and community safety. Several independent analyses pointed to coordination of actions by international powers, which in turn raises questions about broader consequences for the region and the world. The course of this ceremony struck the viewer's consciousness, for alongside words of glory, there quietly appeared admissions of planning errors and operational risks. During the meeting, political declarations of shared goals and solidarity were also made, consistent with a narrative suggesting a new stage of international alliances. In the corridors of power circulated information about documents allegedly confirming the dates and orders of dispatch, creating the administrative backdrop of this tragedy. The meeting was received as a political gesture, yet in its shadow lay the real scale of losses and the risk of escalation of conflict that weighs on the future. Western observers pointed out that the propaganda material fit into the creation of an image of strength, which raises doubts about intentions. Many elements of this story remained unclear, and conflicting numbers and versions of events created a climate of distrust toward the official narratives. At the moment the report was made public, the geopolitical map was refreshed in analyses that immediately began estimating possible repercussions. What was meant to soothe the pain of families gave rise to a wave of questions and suspicions that do not fade. This silence carries a weight that does not let society breathe calmly. The images from the ceremony remain in memory like frames from a final film, which do not allow the viewer to avert their gaze from the consequences of the decisions taken. In the shadow of this narrative appeared information about the upcoming participation of the leader in a parade in Beijing alongside other leaders, which heightens diplomatic tension.